Let's see. Ready. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Kevin Beatty, Town of Clarksville, Indiana. I'll go ahead and call together the May 27th, 2021 Board of Directors meeting for the Kentucky Regional Planning and Development Agency. Turn it over to Jarrett to do a roll call, please.
Good afternoon, everyone. It's nice to start having a meeting in person. We have a couple of members here today and looking forward to others joining. It's hard for me to see the screen, so I'm going to read out the roll call. So please state if you're here or not. Honorable John Black.
Here.
Honorable Bernard Bowling.
Here.
Honorable John Logan Brent.
I'm here. I wish John Black was, though.
John Black was. John Black always makes fun of not being there.
Finally, they finally got in. Was he in the room, or did he get the internet hookup finally in Henry County?
No, they say 90% of life just showing up. Remember it, John.
Honorable Sean Crothers. Honorable Byron Chapman.
Here.
Honorable Beverly Chester Burton. Honorable Jack Kaufman. Honorable Bill Deere. Here. Mr. Brian Dixon. Honorable David Eaton.
Here.
Mr. Kevin Beatty.
Here.
Honorable Greg Fisher. Honorable Jeff Gahan. Mr. Keith Griffey. Honorable thanks, Keith. Honorable Treva Hodges. Mr. John Park for the Honorable Dane Ison.
Here.
Mr. Andy Krause for the Honorable Mike Moore. Honorable Todd Pollock. Here. Honorable John Riley.
Here.
Honorable Joe Robinson. Honorable Jerry Summers.
Judge Summers is trying to get on. He didn't get a link sent to him.
Okay. Danielle, could you please send that link to Judge Summers?
Thank you.
Honorable Rick Tanini. Honorable Jim Travis. And the Honorable David Vogel.
Kevin, standing in.
Thank you, Kevin. And we do have a quorum, Mr. Chairman.
All right, thank you. Again, want to welcome everybody to the meeting. We are doing kind of a hybrid where we have some members present. We look forward to future meetings, getting more and more of you here. The rest are online. In lieu of that, or because of that, we will, when I call for a motion in a second, if you please state your name. When you make that motion or second, then when we call for a vote, you can either unmute and say aye, or you can raise your hand and we'll recognize you that same way. I'll then call if there's any dissenting vote for the same sign, and hopefully we'll get everything recorded. So first item on the agenda is the approval of the minutes. Those were in your packet for your review ahead of time. Need a motion and a second to approve the minutes, please.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye or raise your hand.
Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. That item is approved. Moving on to item 5, April financial statements. Tom.
Thank you. Agenda item number 5, if you're looking in your packet, it starts on page 22, but we're going to share the information there in a second. And then the first page, as always, is the summary of elements grouped by division. And at this point, we're 83% through the year. And as we've talked previously, we know we're going to underspend, and we've got a lot of the money that can carry over that's not spent. But we can scroll down a little bit and see that each division is well within budget, and we're looking to make sure we maximize the available funds that don't carry over, and giving it our darndest to do that. So the next page starts the agency-wide line item revenues and expenditures. And again, that shows that we're in good shape with any of our line items. If it happens to be anything that's a little high, we, in most cases, that's stuff that we pay at the beginning of the year, or we'll have ample funds in other areas to be able to utilize. But there's nothing that's causing us any concern right now. The last part of the report is the balance sheet. Still getting in the salary expenses, the expenses. Okay, and the final part of the report is the balance sheet, and it shows we're in a sound financial position. Is, of course, that, you know, as we've said before, we do have to show our share of the liability on the pension plan, so that makes the numbers look bad. But if you don't count those, we're in good shape. So if anybody has any questions, I'd be glad to answer.
Thank you, Tom. Any questions?
I motion we approve the report.
Have a motion to approve. Do I have a second? I'll second.
No, I'm in a meeting.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye or raise your hand.
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Okay.
That item is approved. Are we having problems with the
Just tell her I'm in a board
audio?
meeting.
Number on there?
Just tell her, get her number and she.
Okay, not a problem. All right, moving on to item number 6, Transportation Policy Committee. Amanda.
Thank you, Chairman. The MPO Transportation Policy Committee met today at 12:30 in a hybrid setting, and staff shared a report with TPC on public engagement activities that have occurred since our last meeting. Particularly there, we were focused on those efforts that we took to solicit input for Amendment 3 to the TIP and MTP. TPC also approved that amendment, which included 10 new or revised projects for the MTP and TIP. It also included an update to our performance management plan. And then staff shared the next opportunity to modify the TIP and MTP, Amendment 4. And most importantly there is that new or revised project applications are due by June 28th. And last month I shared with you the strategy that TPC had approved for the allocation of our CRISA funding. And today the committee approved the allocation of those funds to specific existing projects. They also approved cost increases totaling about $569,000 for 6 existing projects, 2 of those in Indiana, 4 in Kentucky. And last, administrative modification 17 was shared. Those are the minor changes to the TIP. Admin mod 17 included those CRISA approvals that I mentioned, those funding swaps, those 6 cost increases, and the advancement of 5 sidewalk projects, the design phase, moving from fiscal year 22 to 21. All those are sponsored by Louisville Metro. That concludes my TPC report. I'd be glad to take any questions. I do ask for board action to accept my report.
Second. Have a motion and a second to approve the report. Are there any questions for Amanda? All right, all those in favor, please raise your hand and say aye.
Okay.
All those opposed, same sign. That item is approved. Transportation Policy Committee, or excuse me, moving on, item 7. KY 329 bypass study, consultant procurement, Amanda.
Great, thank you. So last month, again, the board approved for KIPDA to enter into an agreement with Oldham County to conduct a study of the Kentucky 329 bypass. And now today, I'd like to ask for your approval to hire, and after we successfully negotiate, for Jared Haley to enter into an agreement with the consulting firm HDR for the study. So for the procurement, we're going to utilize the Kentucky Transportation Cabinet's statewide local public agency contract. So they've hired 5 or 6 firms that are on rotation. When requests like this come in, they just assign consultants based on that rotation. They're hired specifically for this reason. For these types of projects, and based on our previous experience with HDR and just our knowledge of their capabilities, we feel like this will be an excellent fit, and do ask for board approval.
Mr. Chairman, John Riley have moved to approve the request.
Have a motion. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
I've got a question.
Yes,
John
sir.
Black, is that to bypass LaGrange to come to Henry County?
No, there's no need to run a bypass to Henry County yet.
Which road is 329?
That's down in Crestwood, coming off I-71 that goes up into Crestwood. That Bob Jones got built when he was a legislator.
Okay. Crestwood, that's where the courthouse is, right?
Temporarily.
All right. And we have a motion and a second to approve the consultant procurement. All those in favor say aye. All those opposed? That item is approved.
Thank you.
Item number 8, Connecting Kentuckiana 2050 MTP update. David.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. I appreciate the opportunity to speak to you today about the Metropolitan Transportation Plan update that the Transportation Division is working on. Right now, Dane Hoskins and I are going to work together to give you a brief presentation and then show you some of the material that we have been collecting so that you have a better idea of what we're talking about when we talk about the identified issues. KIPDA staff began the process not too long ago of identifying or of developing a Metropolitan Transportation Plan. That began about, I guess, 8, 9, 10 months now, I guess. So what we're going to do is just touch on some of the things that we've been working on, particularly paying particular interest to the public involvement opportunities so far. Next slide, Dave. Most of you know we are the Metropolitan Planning Organization for the 5-county bi-state region. Our focus is on transportation planning, and our strength is in our planning partners. We work with many of the board members as well as others on our Transportation Policy Committee to help guide how transportation will evolve in our 5-county region, which is something that we take great pride in and work hard to try to do a good job. We have next slide, Dave. We have a Metropolitan Transportation Plan in place because we update it every 4 years. The current Metropolitan Transportation Plan is called Connecting Kentuckiana 2040. So the one we are updating right now is that 2040 version, but we're updating it to the new horizon year of 2050. And that gives us an opportunity to kind of stop and take a look at things and see what kind of adjustments we may need to make as we define how the transportation system will evolve over the coming years. Often when I make these presentations, I talk about 2040 or 2050, and people kind of start to glaze over, and I don't blame them. There are more important things right in front of us that need to be addressed. But folks, we hope they will begin to realize that while we talk in terms of 2040, 2050, 20 years out, the impacts of our Metropolitan Transportation Plan are felt almost immediately. We identify those projects that you will start seeing and that we will start using more federal funds almost immediately. So it identifies transportation improvements beginning now and all the way through. In this case, we're going to take it through the year 2050. What do we focus on when we talk about transportation improvements? We talk about anything from a sidewalk along a block or a crosswalk in front of a school, all the way up to bridges that cross the river. So and everything in between is our focus. So That's where we spend a lot of our time, is trying to identify what types of improvements need to be made at all levels of the transportation system. We are required by the Federal Highway Administration and the Federal Transit Administration to update our transportation plan every 4 years. Dane, let's go. Key to what we do is reaching out to the public. We have lots of data. We have more data, and we can analyze and we can tell a really good story with that data. But what we need to hear more of, and this is a good start for us with this update, is what is the local flavor? What is the public saying they want to hear from us, or we want to hear from them to better identify the local or regional needs of transportation. We can talk about how travel patterns are changing, or people are driving more, driving less, on a national or state level. But we want to hear more about what types of things are happening locally. So on February 5th, we started this process of identifying issues. We asked for the public to help us, to help them, by identifying the types of issues that need to be addressed when they complete their daily transportation trips. When they go to school or they go to work, what kind of issues are they experiencing? Is it congestion? Is it potholes? Is it, if I would use a sidewalk if there was one there? Those types of things we try to focus on. I want to draw your attention to the bottom 3 items. This is pretty critical to what we did. That we had 27 meetings with different committees and organizations over the period between February 5 and March 26, because we didn't meet virtually. I mean, we didn't meet in person. We did everything virtually. And we used 2 primary techniques for collecting input. One was a survey that helped us to identify what the big picture issues people think we need to address, what those issues are. The other was an online map tool where we would ask people to put a pin on a map and then identify a particular issue they were having. It could have been something like, I sit at a stoplight through 3 iterations before I get to go through it when I go to work in the morning. Or I would walk with my children to the park if I felt like it was safe and there was a sidewalk for us to walk on. Those types of things were the types of issues we were trying to identify. And so this is one of the tools that we went through as we did this. If you hear the garbage truck outside, because it's pulling right in front of my house, and I had my windows open. So I apologize in advance for the sound of the garbage truck. Dane, can we go to the next slide? So we heard some 3 basic, we heard lots of things, but 3 of the ones that we want to bring to your attention that we heard a lot about were providing safe and accessible, convenient alternatives to driving alone. That's something we've heard a lot of over the years, and something that we're continuing to hear about. People do want to be able to have choices and have options for making their trips around the region or in their neighborhoods. Roadway safety is also something we've heard a lot of over the years, that people want the transportation system safe for everybody, for the vehicles, for pedestrians, the cyclists. So that's something that, again, we're going to continue to build upon. A new one that we've sort of heard about, we've been hearing about, but it's sort of getting more loud as we go through, is we need to figure out options for getting our employees to work, especially by transit. So that was something that we're going to try to key in on a little bit. How do we improve, or how do we provide choices for getting people to and from the workplace? Go ahead, Dane. So here I want to hit on some of the responses that we got from the survey. And this is not surprising to us at all. We asked folks, how do you currently travel around the region when you go to work and go to school? Well, 95% of the folks who travel in our region use their car and they drive by themselves. No surprise there. But we also want to point out that there are other modes of transportation that are used, just not as frequently as driving by yourself. Damn. But then we said, okay, so how do you make your transportation choices? What influences the decisions you make when you figure out how you're going to get to work in the morning? The number one thing we heard about was distance and proximity. How far away do I have to, is my work, my workplace or my school? How long will it take me to get there was another big one that we heard about. And then what options are available? So if you begin to see some things, we're beginning to tell a story here. People are driving by themselves, but maybe they might do other options if the travel time was less, if the distance between where they live and where they're going is different, but also if there are more options for people to get to and from the workplace or school or to the grocery store, things along those lines. Go ahead, Dave. So then to round out our story, we said, okay, so what are the types of transportation options or improvements you want to see going forward? What should we key in on a little bit? And so these are the three top ones that we heard about, and they're pretty close. So we'll just call them all even. But the one that we were kind of surprised about was creating more walkable communities. There seemed to be a lot of effort on trying to make sure people have the ability to walk around and do other things besides drive their car. Maintaining the existing infrastructure was one that we heard a lot about. And that's something that we really want to key in on. Let's fix it first to make sure we do the things we need to do. And then providing more public transit service was also considered a pretty high response. Go ahead, Dave. Now we're going to step into the pin drop tool. This will just take a moment or two. We won't go long, but the thing I want to point out here is these are some snapshots basically of where the pins were dropped. And we color coded them and separated them based upon mode or issue. As you can see on the map with the red dots, those represent places where congestion was identified as a particular issue. That one kind of surprised us because usually congestion gets more attention than this effort. So maybe as our demographics change, maybe congestion is becoming less and less of a concern, or there's less congestion. The other map identifies additional infrastructure where people want more infrastructure. They want more buses, they want more roadways, sidewalks and things along those lines. So we kind of begin to shape up the story so that it makes a little bit more sense to us. And these are all going to contribute to our process of identifying projects as part of our MTP update. Okay, Dan. So we have a report or a summary that we've put together online that we encourage you to go look at, as well as a more organized look at some of those pin drop locations and some of the comments that were raised. I'm going to ask Dane if you could take a few moments, Dane, and just, can you bring up the map?
Yeah, absolutely.
So Dane's going to be bringing up this pin drop tool, and he's going to identify a couple of locations, not many. We have just about 3 minutes, Dane, before we need to kind of wrap this up.
Can everyone see the region?
Yes.
Great. So just a very quick cursory overview. I think it's no surprise to anyone that the majority of the comments were concentrated in the kind of downtown, highly urbanized urban areas. But all of our counties were represented, and we got interesting feedback from each and every county. The tools that we have allow us and the public to zoom into any specific region, place a comment on a specific region, and us and you to go back through and read comments within each community. These are oftentimes really specific, really detailed feedback on the transportation needs of individuals within the region. And I think it's really interesting and encouraging to see the level of detail and engagement coming out of some of our more rural, as well as the proper downtown Louisville area as well. Yeah, that's it in a nutshell. David, I'm going to throw it back to you.
Thank you. These comments are available on our website. And if you like, we'd be more than happy to share them with you via email. I do want to thank you again for the opportunity. We're excited about what's happening with the public, with our public involvement process. We have a couple more lined up. These comments are going to be very useful to our process as we identify goals in the coming months. And then when we start the process of identifying projects, we will also use these comments to help us make sure we do a good job, a better job of identifying the projects that this region wants to see happen. Mr. Chairman, thank you very much. I appreciate the opportunity. If there are any questions, I'd be happy to entertain them.
Any questions for David or Dane? Thank you, gentlemen. Very good report. Very good update. No action is required on this item at this time. Moving on to item number 9, field trip contract extension. Stacy.
Hi, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Today with agenda item number 9, I am requesting board approval to extend our current contract for advertising and marketing services with Field Trip for the period of 1 year through June 30th, 2020. As you all can imagine, the last year or so, we have scaled back, which has been difficult. We had just rebranded and we're starting to build momentum. In the past fiscal year, we have done some marketing and advertising, but it's been relatively low key and largely about safety in terms of ride sharing, primarily with van pools. We have had some other messaging about other ways to ride share, including telecommuting, walking, biking, carpooling, but again, it's all been relatively low key. Since things are looking up, we are cautiously optimistic and have discussed ways to continue moving forward and build our brand and brand recognition, and are very excited about these possibilities. If this extension is approved, we would move forward with a targeted marketing approach that would occur basically twice in the upcoming fiscal year. Once in the late summer, early fall, as people get back into a more normal routine, the start of the school year, and then again right after the new year in 2022. This effort would include a multi-layered approach, which would consist of radio ads, targeted digital ads, so the kind of ads you see when you are browsing on your computer or smartphone, bus stop shelters in the urban area, billboards, and we're pretty excited about a 60-second spot for use on streaming TV services. This is the first time we hope to do this. We wanted to do it after rebranding, but given everything else that was going on, it wasn't appropriate at that time. But waiting has seemed to paid off. Instead of being a $10,000 to $12,000 ticket item, is now around $8,000, so much better price tag. In addition to the 60-second spot, we'll also have a 30-second cut and 2 15-second cuts for use in other areas such as digital advertising, presentations, so on and so forth. This multi-layered approach will ensure we cover the entirety of the 9-county region and a little bit beyond, since we do have folks coming into our region from out of the area. And the amount requested in the 1-year extension is not to exceed $175,000. Action is requested, and I'm happy to answer any questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions for Stacy? Hearing none, do I have a motion and a second to approve the field trip contract extension?
I'm always up for a field trip. Motion to approve.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye or raise your hand.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. That item is approved. Moving
Thank you.
on. Agenda item number 10, fiscal year 2020 joint funding administration contract. Danielle.
Good afternoon. Thank you, Chairman. Yes, agenda item number 10, which is on page 31 of your board packet. Officially requesting board approval for Executive Director Jarrett Haley to sign the fiscal year 2022 joint funding administration contract with the Commonwealth of Kentucky in the amount of $281,691. And there will be 2 actions on this. So this is my first one. So action is requested for that, to approve that, sign that contract.
Motion to approve. John Riley.
Second, David Eaton.
Great, thank you.
Motion and a second. Any questions for Danielle or discussion? All those in favor say aye or raise your hand.
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. That item is approved.
Great. Second item, still related to the joint funding administration funds, the requesting board approval for board chairman Kevin Beatty to sign a letter on behalf of the Kentuckiana Regional Planning and Development Agency Board of Directors, concurring with the Kentucky Association of District Directors with regard to the fiscal year 2022 Joint Funding Administration distribution, confirming that the board is aware that the distribution will be calculated pursuant to House Bill 192, and concurs that proportionate deduction of the funds will be utilized to make up for any shortfall by any area development district to match federal funds. Action is requested. Also, if you have any questions.
All right, request is to authorize myself to sign a letter. Need a motion, a second to approve that.
So moved.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye, raise your hand.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Danielle, your letter is signed.
Thank you.
Moving on, Danielle, you got the next item too.
Yes. This agenda item, number 11, which is on page 32 of your board packet. This is a Verisk data purchase. The said division is requesting approval to purchase data from Verisk to help understand the frequency of property damage events, any correlation to specific weather events, and the property restoration expenses. The data will be utilized for the hazard mitigation plan update, and it will allow us to better analyze the true value of property damage that occurred from weather events in Bullitt, Henry, Oldham, Spencer, Trimble, and Shelby counties from January 1st, 2010 to December 31st, 2020. The total cost is $6,320. Action is requested.
All right, need a motion and a second to authorize the data purchase. I'm assuming this is software, correct, Danielle?
It will actually be data that will be provided to us in the form of a CSV file so that we can upload it for various in various other software.
All right, thank you. Need a motion and a second to approve the purchase, please.
Motion. Second.
Have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye, raise your hand.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. That item is approved. Item 12. Danielle, you're still up.
Right. So this is on page 33 of your board packet. The data axle purchase request. The said division is requesting approval to purchase business and household data for all the ad counties to inform the update to the comprehensive and economic development strategy plan that is required by the EDA. The business data includes location, size, and number of employees. The household data includes a variety of information, including but not limited to location, vacancy, owner renter status, estimated home value, census tract, census block, and various demographic data. The data will cover Bullitt, Henry, Jefferson, Oldham, Spencer, and Trimble counties. The total cost of this data is $19,610. The Transportation Division is requesting approval to purchase the same data for Clark and Floyd counties in Indiana. The total cost for that is $3,370. Action is requested.
Danielle, this will also cover Shelby County, won't it?
Yes, sorry, it also covers, sorry, I left that out. Yeah, covers all counties.
You need two separate motions.
I was going to ask if there's anybody that's opposed to covering them in one motion. Hearing none, let's have one motion to approve both. All right, have a motion and a second to approve both purchases. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye or raise your hand.
Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. That item is approved.
Thank you.
Item 13, Danielle.
Bill May, yeah, last one. So agenda item 13 is just an update. There's no action requested on this. Just an update on the Cdbg CB utility assistance applications. We have 11 of the 12 applications submitted to DLG for review. The 12 applications include the following counties: Bullitt, Henry, Oldham, Shelby, Spencer, and Trimble, and the following cities: Mount Washington, Shepherdsville, Taylorsville, Shelbyville, LaGrange, and Crestwood. Crestwood is the only application that we are still working on. We're awaiting a few items from the city to get that submitted. Once the 12 applications are submitted and funded, they will provide $2,162,000 in direct assistance to citizens in the KIPDA region for utility assistance. And this excludes Jefferson County. So I just wanted to provide an update on that. We should know hopefully within a couple of weeks if those have been awarded, so we can go ahead and move forward with getting those funds dispersed.
Any questions for Danielle on that item? Thank you, Danielle. Moving on, item 14, Senate Bill 36 update. Justin.
Thank you, Chairman. Good afternoon, Board. I just want to provide you all with a little update on the Senate Bill 36 funding opportunity for our KIPDA region's water and wastewater systems that I, as our KIPDA water management coordinator, have been doing to help assist our counties and water and wastewater utilities to prepare for this assistance. As you all, I'm sure, are already aware of by now, Senate Bill 36 was passed on March 30th and signed by Governor Beshear on April 7th. The bill appropriated $250 million in federal funds in fiscal year 2021 and 2022 from the American Rescue Plan Act to the Kentucky Infrastructure Authority for the Drinking Water and Wastewater Grant Program. I have held all but one of our County Water Management Council meetings to the date. We've discussed and prioritized all of the water and wastewater projects on the county level. The only meeting that I haven't had yet is for Louisville Metro and Jefferson County, and we're going to have that tomorrow at 2:00 p.m. with Louisville Water Company and Louisville MSD. Basically, each county has been extremely diplomatic, fair, and equitable about the process moving forward to how to disseminate the estimated allocation of county funds with such little guidance. It's been a pleasure working with all of them. I feel like we've been very productive in all those meetings. As of now, we've had a couple meetings with KIA and we're awaiting the guidance. They're meeting right now, or they're meeting at 3:00 here, excuse me, to go into more detail about that and hopefully finalize all the allocations for each county and also provide us with the federal guidance that everybody has been so anxiously awaiting. Each council has been very thoughtful at considering the social, economic, and the environmental benefits that will be used by the Kentucky Infrastructure Authority in determining the grant allocations. And I feel like everybody has been represented very well. And those are the three main factors that KIA has wanted us to take into consideration were social, economic, and environmental. And I feel like all the projects that have come forth from those county water management council meetings has definitely taken those into consideration. As I mentioned, KIA is going to hold that special board meeting today to finalize the guidance. And as soon as that guidance comes out to us, hopefully next Tuesday after Memorial Day, or definitely Wednesday, sometime next week, I'll be in contact with all of the local governments and all of our water and wastewater systems, letting them know about that guidance and the finalized and the official allocations per county. KIA has also announced they're going to schedule a meeting or a training event with all of the water management coordinators like myself, with all the area development districts across the state to kind of formalize a plan moving forward for the dissemination of those funds. It's been a pleasure, like I said, working with all of you all so far on this. This is definitely needed money for all of the water and wastewater systems. And as this information comes available to us, I'll be in contact with all of you, updating that. And we will be helping you all to get those into the portal, any projects that aren't already in the Water Resource Information System, the WRS portal, to be included in that. And we will get those funds out as soon as we know more. That concludes my report. Thank you so much, Chairman. Thank you, Board.
Any questions of Justin? All right, thank you, Justin. No action is required on that item. Moving on, agenda item 15, Division of Social Services, Lynn.
Good afternoon, everybody. If you need to look in your board packet, the three items that I'm presenting are on page 34 of the board packet. The first two items, I believe we can have considered together as they're similar. They are both contract approvals. So the first one is the Dale FY22 Title III contract. We're asking that the board ratify the executive director of signing this contract. It's the contract that includes all of our service dollars for the Older Americans Act services that are supportive services, meals, both congregate and home delivered, preventative health issues, national caregiver. And we don't have any funding allocations yet, but they have requested that we sign the contracts in order to move forward into our new year. And the second is the FY22 home care contract, and that is for all the services that we do to prevent those individuals over 60 from needing to be institutionalized. So we're asking that the board ratify the executive director signing this contract as well.
All right, we will take these 3 items as one action.
The first two items.
Sorry, the first 2 items. I had my finger over the third one and it still said 3. We'll take the first 2 items as one action. I'll call for a motion. In a second, we'll take a vote. If there's anybody that needs to abstain, then I'll call for that afterwards. So motion and second on the first 2 items, please.
Motion to approve, John Riley.
Do I have a second?
Second, David Eaton.
All right, motion and second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign.
Just a question, even though the vote's been taken. We are under no obligation for financing if funding doesn't come through, correct?
Right. And I hate bringing these items to ratify, but the way contracts are being distributed by the state now, we receive by DocuSign. And Lynn does thorough reviews, but they require pretty much almost an immediate turnaround. That's the reason that we had to bring it back for ratification.
All right. Anybody need to abstain from that vote?
Does this affect Tri-County Community Action Agency? And I abstain.
Me too. All right, we have 2 abstentions. All right, Lynn, continue on, please.
Okay. Our third item is we are requesting authorization from the board to convene the executive committee to approve home care rate increases beginning with May 1st. As you all know, we've been talking about this for the last several months, that our home care service providers are in dire straits because the current environment is requiring much higher payroll rates than what we had contracted for over a year ago. And so we are we have allowed them to submit requests for rate increases, all of them across the board, all 5 of our providers. We're treating them equally, just as we would in procurement, to try to come to an agreement on what current rates would be necessary in order for them to hire and retain staff at a much better level than we're experiencing right now. So because of the kind of urgency of this need to get it put in place and to be able to provide better care for our over 60 clients that are being currently served at a lower rate than we would like, we're asking permission to convene the executive committee to approve those rates. And as we've done before, any changes that are approved by the executive committee would also be brought to the board for a full report in the next meeting.
I'll certainly make that motion.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second, John Black, Mayor of LaGrange.
All right, have a motion, and second. Any further discussion?
Does this have to be declared the emergency due to CARES, due to the pandemic, because it's not through procurement that raising the prices?
I can't
hear.
I'm sorry, I can't hear the question.
Since we're adjusting something that was usually procured, do we have to declare it as part of the pandemic, the reason why we're doing it?
I don't believe so. We have been in conversation with the Department of Aging and Independent Living, and they're aware that we are in this process.
All right, any further questions? All right, have a motion and a second on the item. All those in favor say aye or raise your hand.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. That item is approved.
Thank you.
Anything else, Lynn?
That's it for today. Thank you.
Okay. Item 16, Kentucky Health Benefit Exchange Program changes. Jared.
Thank you, Chairman. As you all are aware from the regular updates from Beth Mattis, who is our Kentucky Health or the Kentucky Health Benefit Exchange Program, which has gone through many different iterations from assisters, connectors, but their team does a very valuable service to the members across our community. They help enroll individuals in health plans and also conduct outreach and educational events. Just kind of as a refresher of the program started in fiscal year 14. It was a lump sum contract. And during that time, we actually made a small profit. In fiscal year 17, the program transitioned to a cross reimbursement contract with a 15% cap on indirect. In order for us to continue providing this service, we transitioned staff that were the assisters from KIPDA employees to employees of a temporary agency. And this was done through attrition. So when an employee left and we hired him back in, we would hire through the temp agency. And this was just kind of a workaround with this 15% cap in order to continue. This was never thought to be a long-term solution. We had hoped we were going to be able to work with a funding agency to resolve the issue, but unfortunately that hasn't happened. Every year we have continued having conversations. Last year when Mayor Chapman was board chairman, he sat in on a call where we tried to negotiate and it didn't go anywhere. This year we presented a workaround similar how we do with the hazard mitigation plan, where we contract with Shelby County and that we are subcontractors of Shelby County for the hazard mitigation plan in order to recoup our full indirect rate. This again was denied from the Kentucky Health Benefit Exchange. Last month on board day, so on April 22nd, we learned from our temp agency that they were no longer going to allow their employees to travel. This was due to a change in the ownership of the temp agency. Obviously, travel is a key component of the assister's job. So where does that leave us now? Well, in order for us to continue the program, we're going to either need to transition the 6 temporary agency employees to full-time KIPDA employees, or we're going to have to discontinue the program entirely. This will have a direct impact to the 8 staff members, the 6 assisters that are currently temporary. Plus, we have 1 assister that has been on from the inception of the program. So she still remains as a KIPDA employee, and the program manager is also a KIPDA employee. This will come at a cost to KIPDA. It would cost approximately $52,000 annually, but we will obviously continue looking to reduce that amount as much as possible. The decision is not black and white, because while the program would be at a cost to the agency, it does share costs that would have to be absorbed by other programs if discontinued. You refer to page 35 in your board packet. We demonstrate how the loss of the program would impact other programs across KIPDA. The top line shows the indirect costs that would have to be absorbed in the fiscal year 21 budget by each department if the IPA program did not exist. Across all divisions, that would be $65,759. And again, that for social services, $38,000, for CD, nearly $6,000, and nearly $22,000 for transportation. The second line shows the potential indirect costs that would be picked up if the IPA program continues and staff were transitioned to KIPDA employees. Across divisions, that totals $81,758. So in essence, as the third line demonstrates, the discontinuation of the IPA program would have a $147,487 impact shared across the agency. And this does not even include the approximately $46,000 non-programmatic staff charged to the program for administration. This includes like Lynn, Jessica Elkin, the social services division director, who's charged time administering the project. So that time would have to be spread out across the social services budget. And as you all are aware, that budget is tight and it's like threading a needle. So that would come as quite a detriment as well. Tom and I had an in-depth conversation with the executive committee on May 12th with the 2 action items for consideration that are being presented today. Those 2 items are the transition of current temporary agency employees to become full-time KIPDA employees, and the execution of a fiscal year 2022 Kentucky Health Benefit Exchange contract in the amount of $1,736,801.92. I will defer to Chairman Beatty to share the executive committee's recommendation.
As Chair mentioned, the executive committee did convene on May 12th. Mayor Chapman, Judge Eisen, Judge Vogel, myself were present, as well as staff. Pretty lengthy discussion. We looked at the numbers, we looked at the benefits of keeping the program, benefits of letting the program lapse. And it was the position of the executive committee to keep the program in existence. So the recommendation to the full board is to keep the program in existence and bring those employees in, keep the temporary employees and bring them in as full employees under the under KIPDA. And so at this time, I would ask if there's any questions, and then I'll entertain a motion.
I've got a question. Jared, what's your best guess at where we're going to finish the year out with unrestricted dollars for our general fund dollars? Where do you think we'll be?
I'll defer to Tom. I know we were in good shape and looking like we were in the black. Tom, do you have the exact figure that you can share?
Well, obviously, there's some things out there that we can't say for certain, but we would think this year we would probably end up with over $100,000 at this current fiscal year. Surplus revenues over.
Surplus this current fiscal year, but the cumulative total, I mean, what would be our bank balance July 1?
It would be in the neighborhood of, now again, we've talked about the liabilities related to the pension plan. But disregarding that, we would have about $2.5 million.
And that was really what number that I wanted to know. And I'm sure you all thought about it. I would certainly be in favor of carrying another year, I guess. The problem though, if nothing else, to give those folks time to either us figure it out or find other places of employment. But I guess if we're making KIPDA employees, then we're committed at that point, aren't we?
Yes, sir. And I do think it's important to say that.
Excuse me, no, I'll make a motion to approve executive decision.
I'll second. Were you pushing me along?
I just sound like you did. I was going to second it. You did. Since you did, I went to it first.
All right, we have a motion and a second on the item on the floor. Any further discussion?
What, hey, this is Mayor Black. What employees are you talking about, and how many are you talking about, and where are they coming from?
We're talking about 8 total employees. 2 are currently full-time KIPDA employees. That's one of the assisters that's been here from the inception of the program, and the program manager. And then 6 of the assisters that are currently serving as temporary employees through a temporary work agency. So with the discontinuation of the program, that would also be the unfortunate termination of those 8 employees.
All right, so we had to do this in the health district with home health a number of years ago because of outside competition. And it was hard, but we lost money for a number of years in a row. And I support what you all came up with. I'm gonna go. So I guess my question is, did you all talk about how many years in a row you would agree to lose money before you ended this subsidization?
This program has a netted revenue over its program history. That revenue for full transparency is $343,371.
So you're ahead that much today.
We are ahead that much today from this program.
Yeah, but you're ahead that much today. But if you start paying 8 people, how soon is that $300-something thousand going to be depleted?
Well, he said they were going to lose about $150,000.
No, the loss to the agency would be about $54,000. About $54,000. But again, as our indirect rates go down, that loss will also go down. And then we can also see how we can transition some of our coding throughout the agency. That 54,000, we tried to actually put that up as a higher number rather while we want to work to make it lower, but it was just kind of, this is what it could be.
But at the same time, we're going to continue to look for ways to make up the difference.
Absolutely. I think that's been the commitment from on my end, from Tom's end, and also from the program staff, is to see how we can reduce that number.
All right.
So we're going to pick these employees up because they're losing their jobs, and once we pick them up, they're going to They're not losing their jobs. Is that what you're saying, Lynn? They're not.
No, I'm saying that we're not doing this because they're losing their jobs. We're doing this because this is a vital program to our region. KIPDA is the only area development district that actually is included in this contract with for KHBE.
So if we pick these employees up, will we do the same work ourselves by them having them in our employment base to do the actual work?
They will essentially be continuing the work they are currently doing. They'll just be doing it as official KIPDA employees.
Okay.
And by doing that, because the way the indirect cost works, it's going to benefit all of our programs to the tune of $147,000, because that program, even, you know, with the supplementing, admittedly, but that program will pick up that much in indirect costs that would have to be picked up by the other activities if we did not have that program. So, I mean, we're talking maybe 54,000 that we would put in, but all of our programs would benefit to the tune of 147,000 by keeping those folks as staff.
All right, we have a motion and a second on the floor on the item. All those in favor say aye, raise your hand. All those opposed, same sign. All right, that item is approved. Item 17, the fiscal 22 legal services. Tom.
Thank you very much. We're interested in continuing utilizing Wyatt Terry Combs to provide legal services for the fiscal year 2022. And I talked to Mitzi to see if there would be any change in their billing rate, and she said they would not. The rate that's been in effect since fiscal 18 is $190 an hour, and she's agreed to continue at that same rate. We'd ask for approval to continue utilizing Wyatt Terry Combs at the same rate of $190 an hour.
Motion. Second.
Have a motion and a second to continue the services, going back all the way to fiscal year 18, correct?
Right, that's at the rate it was, since it's been that for that long.
All right.
1 year extension.
1 year.
All right, so we have motion and a second to approve a 1 year extension to the legal services contract. All those in favor say aye, raise your hand.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. That item is approved.
Thank you.
Coming into the home stretch of the agenda here, personnel report. Kelly.
Thank you. Real quickly, we had one hire, Lindsay Birch, formerly Lindsay McCormick, used to work at KIPDA years ago, has been hired back as a person-centered service plan specialist in our division of social services. She started this week on May 26th. She has a bachelor's degree in health sciences from Spalding and comes to KIPDA from UPS, where she was a healthcare compliance supervisor. When this personnel report was drafted, we did not have any resignations. We've had one, Dane Hoskins, who's I think next to me on the screen. Dane has resigned as transportation planner, and his last day, I think Dane is tomorrow, correct? Okay, thank you.
Correct, yeah.
Yeah, thank you for all that you've done here at KIPDA, and I know that we appreciate what you did, and best of luck in your future endeavors.
Thank you, much appreciated.
You're welcome. One position vacant currently. We have a part-time service advisor position, and obviously that job description with salary information is on our KIPDA website on the careers page. We have 79 full-time, 5 part-time permanent employees, and 5 full-time temporary. That should change based on next month, based on what was approved today for the Connect program. That concludes my report. If there are no questions, action is requested for board to approve it.
All right, need a motion a second to approve the main personnel report.
So moved.
Second, Mayor Black.
All right, have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye, raise your hand.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. That item is approved. Item 19, intergovernmental reviews. Garrett.
A through G are in order. They've been set out for local review and they can be taken together. So action is requested to approve intergovernmental reviews A through G.
Need a motion, a second to approve those items, please.
Motion to approve, Mayor Black.
Ask Judge Black if that's okay.
No.
What?
Just a scrap to him.
All right, all those in favor, let's see. Yeah, motion second. All those in favor, say aye or raise your hand.
All right.
All those opposed, same sign. That item is approved. Item 20, Executive Director's Report.
I want for the record to reflect that Commissioner Sean Crothers and Mayor Rick Tonini both joined the meeting. And I also see Joe Williams with the Governor's Office here. Joe, welcome. Do you have anything you'd like to share to the board?
I really don't want to keep you. Can you hear me well?
Yes, sir.
Great. I just glad I could make it. I apologize for being late. I was in a meeting. As a matter of fact, I'm getting ready to go to another meeting concerning KIA, which you all had talked about a few minutes ago. And I just happy to be back and want to let everybody know that now that we're out visiting, I'm going to come around. I need to see some more of my judges and mayors. Matter of fact, Judge John Riley, I need to call you about the issue you had. I have an answer for you. And so that's it. Anytime you need me, give me a call. I'm always available for you. Thank you.
Thank you, Joe. The next item is travel. It's first time in 15 months we have had travel items. The first is the Kentucky County Judge Executive and Kentucky Magistrates and Commissioners Joint Summer Conference in Lexington, June 16th to the 17th. The staff member attending will be myself. The estimate in your board packet was incorrect because it included an extra hotel night. So the estimate should say $556. The second travel item is the Kentucky Water and Wastewater Operators Association with our water management coordinator, Justin Carter, attending in Owensboro, Kentucky, June 28th to the 30th with a total estimate of $600. We are getting a discounted registration rate because the association has requested the ad water planners to help facilitate the conference. And as Justin alluded to earlier with Senate Bill 36, his presence and interaction with our water and wastewater utilities is going to be really critical at this time. So those two items for consideration for your all's approval.
Motion.
Second.
All right, have a motion, a second to authorize the travel. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye, raise your hand.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. That item is approved.
And next month, there is no TPC meeting, but the Board of Directors will be meeting on June 24th at 2 o'clock. We'll also continue doing in-person as well as virtual, and I hope to see more of you all in person. And this concludes my report.
All right, well, I would echo Jarrett's comments. It's nice to see some smiling faces back in the room. It'd be nice to see more smiling faces as we attempt to come out of our respective COVID restrictions and whatever else you want to call it, hibernation or whatever your favorite term is by now. I know I'm for one who's getting tired of seeing people's faces in little squares on computer screens. I like seeing faces, having interaction with people. So I know that there are still some concerns by people, and we will respect that. But really would like to see smiling faces and get to share some one-on-one conversation. So I don't believe there's any other business to come before the board. So we're going to try to keep this to a 1 hour meeting. We're a little bit over. So if I could get a motion in a second. I think I already heard a motion from across the room here from Judge John Logan Brent. So I'll entertain a second.
Wait a second.
All right. At 3:03, we will call the meeting adjourned. Thank you.
Bye.
See you next month, John Black.
I wanted to ask a question, but